Hello again and welcome to this one-on-one. I'm Martin Falls, so very pleased to have with us someone who is 103 years young, but soon to be 104 years young. And the reason I say young, you're going to find out when we come back from the break. My guest today is approaching 104 years old, and you would never know it. And you will find out why I just said that. It's all next on One-on-One. One-on-One is brought to you by the Law Office of Waits and Downer. And welcome back. As promised, my guest today, Mr. Charles Speedy Lirette. How did he get the nickname Speedy? We're going to find out, but certainly he is my guest today on One-on-One. Mr. Charles, good to see you.
Thank you.
103 years young. January 18th, you're going to be 104.
At 19.
Years young. First question, right off the bat. What is the secret to longevity?
Oh, my. I tell you what it is. As far as I'm concerned, it is no drinking, no smoking. Yeah. Period.
So you never drank at all, never smoked?
No, because I was going to be a pilot when I was 5 years old and never drank. Very, very little. Probably not at all. No.
Never had any cherry bounce or anything like that?
No way. I do singles and fighters. You have to be very, very sober.
Yeah. So where'd you grow up? Tell us about where you grew up first.
Houma, Louisiana, waterproof plantation right down the bayou here on Minor Canal. Mm-hmm. And on the left side of the bayou was a big white house. My father and mother had 11 children, 2 of whom died, 9 lived. Conrad, Reggie, Raymond, Elizabeth, Marion, Murray, Shirley Ann, Dale. And let's see, Conrad and Reggie were born during the Depression years, 1920, 1929. Mm-hmm. And there, getting a job was very difficult. They stood in the Texaco Company headquarters yard, waiting for them to come home every night, holding their hands out, job. And once they got a job, they held on for 40 years. They never let go.
Right. So they were loyal to the job.
They had to, because that was a job that was almost impossible in those days.
Yeah. What was it like? You probably came on the tail end of that Depression, but did they ever tell you exactly what it was like to go through the Depression? Yes,
I tell you, this point is food. I did a lot of hunting and fishing, and so did they. It helped us out. My father and mother had 11 children, and they needed money, and they grew a lot, but we did a lot of hunting, all kind of rabbits and this, and then we did fishing, a lot of that, to help out.
So y'all were living off the land?
Yes, yeah. Exactly.
So did you hunt mink and all for the fur? What did you do, just strictly hunting for meat, or did you sell furs?
Oh, we sold fur too. It was possum, coon, and mink. And the possum was 25 cents, the coon was 50 cents, and the mink was, if you bought one, $10. It was a monster. Wow. Yeah, we did trapping, early morning trapping. Get up at 4 in the morning with a headlamp, and you went out and you ran traps. Mm-hmm. And you had to be careful because it was full of snakes. And when you got a snake in your trap, you got to get him out in the dark. It was not easy.
What was it mostly, water moccasins?
Water moccasin.
You ever got bit?
No, because we're very, very careful.
Yeah.
But when they were caught in the mink, they were mean. You had to kill them.
Yeah. So the minks were mean?
No, snakes.
The snakes were mean.
Yeah, the ones that were caught, they were mean.
What was the hardest animal to trap? Which one was hardest?
I would say the mink.
Yeah.
Because they're very sharp gal. They're really smart.
Yeah. You'd have to get a step ahead of them, huh?
Yes. Okay. You set the trap and you put a stick over the left and you put a piece of meat on top and they had to come under, grab it, and the trap would grab them with the foot.
Okay.
Then you have to hit them on the head, not the bark, the head, because you could ruin the bark.
Well, let me ask you, when you started trapping, were nutrients plentiful, or did that come after you started trapping? Because the nutria was brought in from South America,
Yes,
I think.
I did not trap nutria. I trapped mink, possum, coon.
Okay. And muskrat?
Not many because they were farther out. I was only allowed to go so far as a child, and muskrat was way out in the swamp.
Okay. So you had to go a little further and you went. How old were you, said, when you started trapping?
Oh my God, I had to be 15.
Yeah.
14 or 50, yeah. Because if you wanted any money, you better get it yourself. We had no money.
Was it a push-pole pirogue or was it a boat with a motor?
Oh, a pirogue was a hollowed out cypress tree. And the Indians did that. It was a pirogue.
Yeah,
Later
out.
on, it was a flat face. What do you call it? A tree, a flat face.
So you went from a cutout to a pirogue.
Yeah, from a pirogue.
Like a canoe kind of thing to start, but it was carved out of a tree, right?
A pirogue was,
Okay.
yes, out of a tree.
And where did y'all get the first boat, or did y'all make the first boat?
Who made it? I think a guy named Billiot, who was an Indian who lived next door to us, and he made them.
Okay.
And he had an alligator in his backyard. I don't know why, but he kept us.
That was to keep people away.
Yes, exactly. God bless it.
In those days, that was like having a Rottweiler.
For all of your cases, including those with catastrophic significance, call Waits and Downer Law Firm.
Hi, I'm Martin False, the owner of HTV, and I just wanted to thank my team because each and every day we come in not always looking for the negative stories. We look for the positive stories. We have so many positive people and events that shape our area. So when you're tired of all the bad things happening in the world, tune into HTV for a little positive attitude. Thanks for viewing, and thanks to a great staff. Okay, so where were you in the pecking order of the children?
Oh, middle. Conrad, Reggie, Raymond, Elizabeth, Elliot, Marion, Murray, Shirley, and Dale.
Okay, all right. And so you were...
The mischief.
You took the words right out of my mouth. You were the one that sort of tested everything?
Yeah, my mother said, Elliot, Reggie, take Elliot. I can't stand him. I was quite a mischief. I'm afraid I was, yeah. I was running away from home.
Yeah, but you have a lot of energy still. I can't imagine you as a child.
I did have it. I did have it.
Was it hard for you to keep your attention on one thing?
I don't know. I think so. Oh, no, I knew everything. I was very attentive, yes, I did.
Yeah, you could focus in if you had to.
Absolutely, yes.
But it was just getting you interested in something to focus in on.
Well, when you trap mink or coon, you got to be very careful with you had to be careful of everything you did. It was done in the dark. You had to do it in the morning before you went to school.
Yeah. Now, did you go by yourself on those trips?
Yes. I almost hunted alone. I trapped alone.
Now, when you grew up in a big family like that, were y'all all pretty independent, or did y'all do things together?
We didn't do things together. No.
Yeah. Everybody had their own thing?
Yes.
Okay. So everybody had a job?
Yeah, yes, indeed. Let me tell you, when they got a job, you hung on with dear death because in the 20s, it was the Depression.
Yeah.
And getting a job was not easy. I can tell you stories about my brothers. Oh, my gosh. He wanted a job with a my oldest brother wanted a job with a umbrella oil company. Mm-hmm. And they said, okay, if you want a job, take this cane knife and you start cutting water lilies through the swamp. And so he started cutting and cutting. This guy said he can't stand it. So he stood back here and watched Conrad. And Conrad never stopped. And finally said, I can't stand it. So he took Conrad out and gave him a good job. Mm-hmm. Conrad stayed for 40 years. Reggie had the same problem. He would stand in the front yard of the Texaco oil company manager, and he'd always stand with the guy who went home at night saying, I need a job, until they couldn't stand it. And once he grabbed it, he's 40 years, he stayed with them. Getting a job in those days was difficult.
Yeah.
That's what told me.
Now, what was Houma like back then?
Oh, 5,000 people. 5,000, very little. Let's see, Main Street, 2 streets in the back. There weren't many people at all.
What were the streets like? We're on Main Street right now. We're on Main and Barrow, but did they have oyster shells or something?
Yes, that and also shells of all sorts.
Yeah.
Clam shells.
Yeah.
Clam, yes.
So that's what Main Street was made out of, clam shells and oyster
I
shells.
think so, yes.
Yeah, I think you're right on that, because I saw some old pictures that looked like they just brought the shells in and made the street.
Exactly correct.
Because I
yes.
was digging up behind this building one day and found nothing but oyster shells.
That's correct, and it was crushed too. Yeah.
But it made a great foundation for buildings. They use oyster shells and everything because it compacted pretty well.
I suppose you're right.
Those old timers knew what they were doing. I mean, just look at the beams in this building, which was built in 1856. And look how far they span these beams across this building. They knew what they were doing.
I can't see that far. No, I can't. I'm
Yeah.
almost blind.
But they knew what they were doing. So as you were growing up and seeing things, were y'all very conscious of what was happening around the world, or were you able to get that information?
I remember WWL was a radio station in New Orleans, and the
Yeah.
one in St. Louis was WLW. And those two major ones.
Yeah.
Well, I can't tell you what was going on in the world as much as it was necessary for us to get work and to get money for ourselves. We needed money and we needed food. My parents did. And of course, being in the South, we were very fortunate to be able to grow food.
I guess with all those children, your mom stayed at home and made sure she raised the
God,
kids.
yes, she had one. We had a number of black families, and the corporation that fired my dad, being an overseer, allowed her to have one woman worker, and she helped my mother. And they worked morning, noon, and night in the kitchen, on a wood stove,
Wow.
and doing all the work around the house,
So she was sort of like helping your mom be the caretaker.
Yes.
Yeah, which was pretty common
Yes.
back then.
Yes.
For all of your cases, including those with catastrophic significance, call Waits and Downer Law Firm.
Now, what'd your dad do?
He was an overseer on a plantation for sugar cane.
Okay.
He had about 20 blacks that he rode a horse and he mounted the blacks to cut sugar canes, put them in the train, send them to the factory to be turned into sugar.
Yeah. They had all those buggies back then where they would throw everything in it and transport it to the train track. I'm sure the train track was nearby.
It's called a dummy, which is a very, very small train, and it just got along. And there was a black man who ran it all the way to the sugar factory,
And you just crank it.
The engine had an engine.
Had an engine?
Yes.
So it was after the crank days. You used to have to crank them way back in the day.
This was this had a choo-choo.
I'll be.
Yeah, it went on the tracks all the way.
Yeah. And so cane field was a big thing.
Oh, God, it was huge, yeah.
Yeah.
Sugar
So
cane.
when you made trips to town,
Yes.
do you remember that? Describe it.
Walk.
You walked from
Oh,
Waterproof?
yes, 6 miles, yes. Absolutely. Now and then my dad would go, now and then you get a ride, but generally you took the cane field, it's about a 5-mile trek, just walked.
Yeah. You still walk. You don't mind walking.
I walk a lot.
Yeah. You think maybe that's why you made it to 103, almost 104?
I wish I could answer that one. I have no idea why I made 103.
I bet heredity has a lot to do with it.
Yes.
You inherited some good genes.
Yes, and I did not drink and I did not smoke.
Yeah. But you have longevity in your family. You had some other people
Yes.
that lived to be long.
Yes, true.
Okay.
Absolutely, yes.
So how old were you when you looked up in the sky and saw that plane and you said...
5 years old. Oh, yes, I remember that.
You were eager to answer that one because that was your dream.
That guy was moving, and he was in the front. You could see him sitting in the front like this with a helmet, and he was right above us about 500 feet. And I waved to him, and he waved back and went on. And I said, Dad, that's me.
Was he crop dusting? What was he doing?
No, I don't know. But it was he was the front of one engine plane that was going from somewhere to west of New Orleans.
Okay.
On US 90, right in front of our house. Wow. But it was a vision I'll never forget. That's what I wanted, speed.
Yeah? Hence the nickname Speedy.
That's the name Speed.
It stuck with you for a long time.
Fastest plane I could get, best I could fly.
So you knew at that age that's what you wanted to do?
Yes, no question about it. None. Speed.
Why do you think it was, of course, the cars weren't that fast in those days. So was the plane the fastest thing you saw?
Yes, it was, yes. Mm-hmm. The plane was the fastest thing you could. Yes, of course it was.
Right. So who were some of the neighbors around Waterproof?
We had very few neighbors. We had one Indian, and the rest were blacks who worked in the
Mr.
field.
Billiot, the Indian?
We had one Indian. His name was Bill, B-I-L-L-I-O-T. Mm-hmm. And he's the one that had the alligator in the backyard.
Yeah.
He worked hard. The son, I know, worked. Both of them did. I think they fished. I think they were fishermen.
Okay. One thing when you're a fisherman, you never starve, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Well, what was it like living, and I'm going to use the word simple, although it wasn't simple times.
It was really.
But it was simple by nature. What was that like?
Well, I told you my oldest brother begged for a job and they got off. They got off quick in life. If my job, I just played a lot. I guess I did. I wanted to always run away from. I was run away from home. I don't know why.
You just like to go, huh?
I wanted to see what was beyond the horizon. I kept, what is beyond that horizon? In those days, it was the red sunset, because in those days we had a dust bowl in the west, and a dust called red sunset. Right. And I always wondered, what made that thing red?
Yeah.
For all of your cases, including those with catastrophic significance, call Waits and Downer Law Firm. This one-on-one program has been brought to you by the law offices of Waits and Downer.
Lake Boudreaux over here, we just came down Highway 50.
For over 40 years, I, along with my team, have had the distinct pleasure of archiving special events and special people in our area. When I was a young reporter, I never realized how important those seemingly routine interviews would become. And as we have made our journey through the television industry, the most important memories to us have been captured through the lens of a camera and a microphone. We just want to say thank you. Thank you to all of those who have given us our start and continue to support us 40 years into our great journey. When you signed on back then and still today, you are helping preserve the precious moments that will be archived for future generations. It's been a joy, and we thank you here at HTV. HTV, preserving the past and moving into the future.